This time of year, one of the questions we get a lot is, what about a new home build? We've been in the cabin, we've been cooped up, cocooned,
spring fever. It's
and
the
now it's
spring fever season.
Exactly.
Spring fever. Seizure. Spring seizure too, because I'm tripping over my tongue.
Rented lips, can't do anything with them or
No,
what?
Can't. So bring.
Let me just take over. Spring fever. Now you can continue.
I can't.
Okay, good. So many people think about something new because it's the time of year where we're thinking that the grass is going to go green, the tulips are going to sprout in 3 or 4 weeks, and we really like new things.
Well, we all like new things anyway. And the
Yes.
spring seems to bring new flowers, what do they say? Spring rain. I clearly affected lips today, and that's okay. We will get rolling.
April showers bring May flowers.
Right, and it's only March, except it starts.
Oh
Anyhow.
my goodness. You are hilarious. Who gave her the giggle juice this morning? That's what I want to know.
I don't know.
So there's several types of new builds. And some people have said, well, why don't I just go into the new home builder and just go on my own? And
Right.
many people do.
They do.
And sometimes
And we're going to
they get
caution
burned.
you. We're going to caution you that this is not something you want to do. So if you're just tuning in, this is the inside track on real estate. And we're here to really help you and help ourselves, really. We do this thing together because after over 30 years of being able to help families thrive in their homes and over 357 episodes of the Inside Track and helping over, 2,380 families.
That's a lot.
It's a lot. Yeah, we could just say it's a lot and a lot and a lot. However, that means it sounds like we make it up. We're not making it up. This is the real deal where we're giving you real insights and real ideas around how to thrive in life and home. And new builds, there's more to the eye than you both first think.
Yeah, than just a shiny, fancy, highly upgraded model home.
Exactly.
That's what gets us excited.
It is.
Because they're upgraded to the nines. They have beautiful furnishings and decorations. And they put every option imaginable to mankind in them.
Usually. And we're going to say everything we're saying here is not 100% because there are exceptions. I have been into the odd occasional builder, and I call them odd because it is unusual in today's market not to overly upgrade the model home. And you're walking through, and although they'll give you a list of what's upgraded and what isn't, it's still hard to decipher because what would it look like if it were the typical pricing?
And what they won't generally tell you is what those upgrades cost. So many model homes that I've gone into have been $60,000 to $120,000 in upgrades in the model home over the base price.
And the base finishes, fit and finish that's in a home.
Exactly. So let's talk first of all the types of homes that can be built.
Right. So this is a little bit the foundational information so that we know from what we talk about. Some of the things we're going to talk about aren't as applicable to certain types of builds as it is to other builds. So the first is the condominium, which isn't always a high rise. It could be a low rise. Mostly in today, in the beyond 1980s, early 1990s, the vast majority of condominiums are in fact high rise or low rise.
Yeah, low rise, there's a lot of the 3-4 stories, the stacked condos and smaller
That's
buildings.
Still a low rise.
Yeah, that's quite popular. Then there's tract housing. And what I call tract housing is where a builder owns a street or a subdivision and they build all the houses on that street.
Or
section.
Part of that, a section of that street.
Right. And they'll have a limited number of floor plans with different frontal elevations. So they'll have brick on one, or they'll have a bit of a porch on one and pillars on another, so that they look different from the front and they're the same floor plan.
Right. Not all the houses. There might be 5 to 10 or thereabouts, different models, and then typically 3 elevations or so per model.
Right. And then they'll have certain models that are available on a certain width of lot and other models that you can only get on a wider lot.
Right.
Usually because they're bigger, but also they don't want to put a small house on a wide lot, even if you want it, because it won't fit in with the neighborscape.
Right.
Is that a real word, or did I just make that up?
I think you made it up. But that's good. Okay. I had rented lips, and you're making up words. So
it's good.
It's all good. And then the third type is custom built. And that could be custom build with a builder where you're bringing your plans, or they may have plans that you can choose from, but they're not building 6 or 8 or 10 of them at the same time. They're building your one house, and it's truly custom. You can make any changes you want, or you can completely get a new set of drawings done from scratch, which is typically what you're going to do with custom build. Mm-hmm. And then the slight caveat on that is some people choose to be their own custom builder. Because, yes. Right, as an example, prior to us becoming new home warranty builders, we did build home for ourselves and then chose, based on that experience and already being vastly knowledgeable and working with builders for decades at that point, that we would become a new home warranty builder ourselves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So custom builds are unique.
They are.
Because first of all, you can build any plan you want as long as it fits the lot.
The lot elevation
and also the size of the lot. Because the city has requirements on how much of the lot can be covered by the house and the garage. And so some subdivisions have minimum sizes. So you can't build a small plan if their minimum's 2,400 square feet, for instance.
Right.
You can't build your 2,000 square foot 2-story because they won't let you.
Right. And then fit and finish, also what the finishes are, especially on the exterior, can also be mandated by the developer when the subdivision was first registered.
Mm-hmm. So there's several ways to handle a custom build, and they differ depending on whether you own the lot or the builder owns the lot.
Right.
Or the builder buys the lot for you.
Right.
And there's different ways of handling the financing, and it gets a little complex.
It can.
It can.
It can. It
can
get a lot complex, actually.
Know that, first of all, if you have someone building a home for you, ideally they have Terry-on new home warranty. It's actually the law that you can't build a house and sell it unless you're a Terry-on new home warranty builder registered with them. The caveat to that is if you own a lot and you go to a contractor and you say, I want you to build my plan, here's my plan. So they work as a general for you, basically. So you're building, but they're acting as the general. That person does not have to have Terry-on new home warranty.
Correct.
Right. Thank you for that.
Yeah. Well, because it's actually kind of a scary thing. There was several years ago, and we'll call our client Mark, he bought a house. Mm-hmm. It was built by a builder, and it was his principal residence. So he did not register it under Terry-on.
He said it was his principal residence.
Right. But it turns out it wasn't really.
He never really lived there.
Right. Sort of, kind of. But
sort of, kind of. And the MLS listing said it was a brand new home, never lived in.
Right.
Which was a bit of a problem for him, because then when there was a problem with the house,
right,
they called Terry-on new home warranty, and they said, well, we don't have that house registered. And so they got involved, and they actually ended up fining this gentleman who built the house to sell it because he didn't really live in it. And it's one of those things where, there's a gray line. Do you have to live in it for 2 months? Do you have to live in it for 6 months? Do you have to live in it for a year? And then you get into the tax implications through HST and those different things. So
follow the rules.
Be leery on that. Yes.
Follow the rules.
And then the way you finance something is different if the builder owns the lot, or you own the lot. Because typically if you own the lot, then you're going to have to get the financing, and there's going to be draws that you're going to give the builder at certain stages. It's got to be in the contract foundation or closed in or drywall stage. At what stages do you advance more money and what percentage of money? And typically there's a 10% holdback. So once it's all completed, there's a 45-day holdback on the last 10% of the money.
Right.
So that's one way. The advantage of you owning the lot is you're going to pay land transfer tax on the lot only, and you're still going to pay HST on the lot probably, and you're going to pay HST on the house, on the construction. Now the difference being, if you buy one that the builder owns or the builder buys for you and builds the house on it, the land transfer tax is going to be on the total price of the house and land. So it's going to be more. And then the other difference is, typically if they own the lot, be careful giving them too much money, because Tarion New Home Warranty will cover the first $40,000 of deposit.
Meaning it'll be protected.
Yeah.
If something goes wrong.
The builder goes south or, goes bankrupt or something like that, because you don't own the lot and you don't own what's on it, you could lose everything, including your deposit. But Tarion New Home Warranty will cover the first $40,000 of your deposit. Now, if the house is on your land and you're financing it and you're giving the builder more money, the thing is, you're only doing it at progress stages. So if he goes bankrupt and leaves, your exposure is limited, because what he's built, as long as you've gone and checked that it's being built, what he's built is on your land and it's your improvement, so you own it. It's still horrible because you got to go get another contractor to try and finish that project. Doesn't happen often, which is wonderful.
No, we have seen it though, so you just want to use somebody that's reputable, do your background checks, you can check reviews, like there's so much we can do from a history perspective, and we're never going to recommend you work with somebody that isn't already showing great results for people, and that is not in a negative financial scenario, and yet sometimes things change overnight that nobody could see.
And we have some great builders.
We do.
Which have great quality. They actually deliver a little bit more than they promise, and the quality is excellent. And that's one thing with a custom build, is you're picking everything. And they're generally, a custom builder may only make anywhere from 6 to 20 houses a year kind of range. Whereas a tract housing, the big companies, they may make 300, 500 houses in a year. And they still have their quality control mechanisms. But generally that small contractor that's on site regularly is going to produce, they're going to build it a little slower, and they're going to build a slightly better
and when you say slower, it isn't necessarily slower, because with tract construction, the timeline can be 9 months to 2 years, which it wouldn't take you any longer than that to have a custom built home done, probably 6 or so months.
From foundation pouring to construction, usually about 6 months.
Give or take, depending on the builder and depending on what else he's already got going. And so it's not necessarily that the construction time on the house is going to take longer. It's that it's dedicated, focused on your house, whereas with the tract construction, which was the second type that we talked about, they're doing many aspects or many homes, the same aspect in all of them. So they might be pouring 12 foundations kind of all at the same time, and then doing framing on 12 houses all at the same time, and then kind of doing it in a cycle. So the focus isn't on your home. So overall, it can actually take longer, and potentially complete registration isn't done on the actual lot either when you're first buying it. They know it's coming, but they don't know exactly when they're going to begin construction. So it can actually take longer with tract homes. The other thing with tract homes is you're going to have, as we mentioned, limited floor plans. It's probably the type that there is the most construction of. If we had to choose one type.
And it's typically a little less money per square foot.
It is less money per square foot.
Yeah, because they're building in volume.
Right. And you're also paying a significant amount of money for your upgrades, often greater than what the cost of the upgrade really is, because there's also a margin that they're making on the upgrade. So I know we've had some clients in the past where literally we said, go ahead and build it base with base carpet, base everything. We'll live in it for a year or 2 years because it's really not nice carpet, and we'll rip it out and put hardwood in. And that was less expensive than paying for the upgrade on the hardwood from the beginning.
Yes. And also typically your custom builds may have a higher level of standard features. Although a lot of the tract homes, they're upping their features.
Getting better and better.
There's a lot of competition. So they're starting some of them to include granite or include hardwood on the main floor and that kind of thing. So typically in a custom build, there's less upgrades happening because you already built it to have that soaker tub and that big glass shower. And so they're not upgrades after because they were already in the original plan.
Exactly. And then just to quickly mention the condominium piece, we were doing a little description at the beginning of the type of construction. And we said low rise, we said high rise. The distinguishing feature with the condominium is that after it closes, after registration of the condominium project, you're going to have ongoing fees that you're paying for. Usually they're all different. You have to read your fine print, because some of them include a fair bit of items that are covered by the condominium fee. Other times there's not much covered. Sometimes it's more just a maintenance from the road in the construction area. And other times they even cover the exterior finishes from the outside walls out. Fences decks, and decks and those kinds of things. And then other times there's windows are covered at 50%, or windows aren't covered at all, or doors are. Every condominium is structured a little differently, so you really want to have your lawyer review the fine print in a condominium so you know what it is your costs are going to cover or not cover.
You mentioned registration, and that's an important piece, because if you're buying a condominium, you may be required to move into it when it's finished, but you won't get title, you won't close on it, you won't get your mortgage on it. You're actually paying them rent until the whole building is registered as a condominium. Because they can't register that until there's a certain amount of completion. And when it's registered, now it actually has a title that they can transfer to you. Prior to registration, there is no title to transfer to you, so you just have to rent it if it's completed. And that makes it tricky too, because sometimes people want to, these builds might take a long time to happen, and people may want to resell it, or they got transferred out of town, or they don't want to move into it now. And it's difficult because you may have to start paying the rent but not be allowed to resell it, because many times the new builder will have a non-assignment clause, which means you can't sell your contract to someone else, or it's expensive to. They have a big fee for doing that. So you got to read the fine print on those assignments really, really closely. Because some of them even have clauses that say once you've closed on it, you can't resell it on the MLS until the builder has sold their units or sold a certain percentage of their units, because they don't want you in competition with themselves. So watch those contracts really carefully.
So I have a question running through my head, and I bet you do too, is why would I ever buy a new build? Because it sounds like there are so many potential loopholes. And the reason we would buy a new build, and we've done it several times ourselves, is exciting to move into new season, new spring, new everything, including a new house. It's why people buy a new car, and even though it's not financially wise because you take such a big hit of depreciation, people like a new car that no one else has driven. And the smell isn't even good for you.
No.
That new car smell, that new house smell is actually toxic.
It's not good for you.
It's not good for you. It's toxic. And yet we love the feel and smell of new. They even have air fresheners that smell like new car. Like, I don't quite get that. But anyway, don't need those toxics. So really, as I'm listening to Ken, and we're just talking about one little area, thinking about all the other areas that could get us when we're buying new construction, is I would want professional counsel. Even though you can wander into a new home sales site at the top of the show, I don't know if you remember Ken saying, do not email, do not call, do not walk into the office until you bring your professional realtor with you. Mm-hmm. Almost all builders are going to cooperate, meaning pay a small fee. Referral fee is probably the right way to call it, to the realtor. It may not be what we typically earn. However, most builders are cooperating with realtors. Mm-hmm. And the advantage to you is beyond significant. And it's not like they're selling you the house for less if you don't bring your realtor. Mm-hmm. It's not like you're saving anything as a rule. There's the odd builder that will say to you, hey, we'll do it for less if you don't bring your realtor. That's not what we typically see. Over the last 30 years, I've seen that a handful of times, and most of the time, it is.
Small town builder. Because typically the big builders understand it's part of the process. It's built into their pricing, and they don't adjust their pricing because they don't want one neighbor to say, hey, I got it cheaper than the next neighbor did.
Right.
And so that's why they're doing that.
So the advantage to bringing your realtor isn't because we're necessarily going to negotiate off on the price. Because typically with any reputable builder, the price is the price is the price. Now, the only caveat to that is inventory homes. Sometimes if they have homes that they pre-built that they haven't sold yet, or they were model homes, sometimes if you have them for a certain length of time, they will reduce the price. Yeah. And those will typically close within about 6 weeks of purchase, generally, depending on what stage that home is at.
Right. In this market, typically those don't exist anymore.
Right. Very few.
Yeah. Most of the builders now are kind of 10 to 16 months out. Mm-hmm. And you might say, well,
tract builders.
They might say, tract builders. So they might say, well, why should I use a realtor if they can't negotiate the price?
Because that's just the very small piece of what's important.
The selection of the floor plan, the selection of the upgrades, the selection of the lot affects the resale price hugely. Yeah. And the builder is not going to tell you any of that because they want to sell their house on their lot. Sometimes a lot's more expensive, and it's because there's a fence on it, but the fence had to be put there because it's siding a road or it's siding a school or something. Or they say, well, this one comes with air conditioning, so it's $3,000 more, but it comes with air conditioning because it sides onto a busy road, and the city said to them, you must include air conditioning because it's going to be a noisy location. So things like that, we're going to watch for what lot to select, where the hydro services are, like
and some of those things you would think to do yourself, right?
Some of them you can't get away
from. Some of them you would think about, and some of them I can give you client after client after client, Karen and Brian, also Curdy and Samir, like client after client I could name that we were actually able to help them navigate aspects of their build that made it so much more valuable. And they just say, thank you, thank you, thank you, because we had no idea that we needed to think about the fact that we were paying an upgrade on the lot, but actually it was a less valuable lot, as an example.
Yeah, and an example, we had a client come and they had already put a deposit on a property, and they just wanted our second opinion on it. And I said, well, it's a good builder. It's a good model. The house is good. The issue being they were only one street off of two major roads, and everything towards the major roads was all townhomes. And they were building the largest lot, the largest house, and in their backyard was going to be 3 backyards because of the width of their backyard compared to the width of the other smaller houses. And I said, you can build there and you'll like the house. You may not like the noise level a little bit, and your resale value is going to be much lower because you've got a big house amongst small houses and townhouses, which is going to drive that price down. So they said, okay, well, we've got a few days to decide. So I actually took them out and showed them some other builders. Yeah. another street, which was a quiet street, a crescent, backed onto the backyard of a giant property. So there was only one property in their backyard, and it was just trees. There was no house on the other side of it. And they were the average house on the street. And they're just tickled pink where they live.
They're loving it. Loving it. So new home warranty, carry-on warranty is something that is important to have when you're building homes. Tract homes will all have it. They're not going to be able to get away from that. Custom homes, we've already given you when they wouldn't. The length of time that they are is the first year is comprehensive. Basically, anything that goes wrong in the house is covered under that first year. You will want to read the fine print. However, it's very comprehensive. The second year is systems and sort of semi-significant issues. And then from year 3 to year 7, it is only major structural. So you really want to be looking at we recommend having an inspector come in, especially at the end of that first year, to see if any deficiencies that have shown up, because that'll give you a really good idea whether you're going to have any more. When you've gone through a full season, a full year, you're going to know what's going on there. So having a professional in can save you thousands.
Yeah, and it's know that the major structural issues are major, like they're broken roof trusses or a crack in the foundation that you could like stick your pinky finger in, things like that, a septic system failing. Those things are major structural or system issues. And also know that the enrollment fee, because the builder pays an enrollment fee for every house that they register with Carry-On New Home Warranty. And that can vary anywhere from, I don't know, $800 to $1,600 or maybe more, depending on the value of the house. A lot of times that enrollment fee is included with custom build pricing. Most tract housing, it's one of the hidden things that you're actually paying that registration fee, and it's in your contract. So reading the fine print is really important.
Right. And we read fine print of hundreds of new builds, so we could certainly assist you with that. So if this is just creating questions for you, you're thinking, does it sound scary to buy a new build? No, not if you cross your T's and dot your I's. Can't believe I got that out clearly. So if you have questions around it before you wander into a sales site or do any registering, even sending an email, connect with us and we'll help you figure out what is the best option for you in this season if you're looking for brand new.
And we love shopping with you almost as much as you love shopping for new home construction. The models are gorgeous.
Right. And the other one little tiny caveat, we can sometimes see things you can't see because we've walked through thousands of these homes. So we're looking forward to connecting with you and love that we get to thrive at life and home with you. Together, we